Hello and good evening to all of you, 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 all of you. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. It is such a very special night. As some of you may know, that April 14th at approximately 11:40 p.m. the Titanic unfortunately struck an iceberg and she sunk approximately 2.5 hours later in the wee hours of April 15th, taking with her upwards of 1,500 souls. The Titanic is a story that brings so much mysterious and enthusiasm to many of us, and I personally am fascinated by her. She was the largest ship of her time, and contrary to belief, the makers of this ship, Hartland and Wolff, they never said she was unsinkable. No. That was said, was spread by newspaper, by the media, fake news. A journalist had called the ship virtually unsinkable, and it stuck, and she sunk. It's very sad. So just going to show you a bit of my Titanic collection. I do have a Titanic collection. I'm going to talk a bit about the ship and a few facts and a few conspiracies, because there are some conspiracy theories regarding Titanic sinking. And please feel free to share anything you know below. I love learning more about this beautiful ship. Right, so let's start. I guess I should start here. This is the necklace I wear pretty much daily. It's the ship herself. I don't know if you can see her. There she is. She's got her four funnels there. And first Titanic tip. The fourth funnel is just for looks. It's not functional. It was not connected to the boilers. It was actually just to ventilate the kitchen and to make the ship look more powerful. The other cruise liners at the time had 3 funnels, so Hartland and Wolff felt that 4 would make us stand out. It's beautiful. Her and her sister ship, the Olympian, I believe, also have 4 funnels. Right. So I do wear the Titanic around my neck at times, and just for fun, because I do love the ship. My husband went and spent all of about $30 on this replica of, was it The Heart of the Ocean from the movie, James Cameron movie, with its $200 million revenue, right? Oh no, I think it was $200 billion. What did it make? $200 million budget, and it made $2.2 billion. I think that movie was one of the highest earners of its time, correct? I'm not mistaken. All kinds of accolades, right? Nicole Kate, Leonardo when he was young and in his prime, right? Not looking like Jack Nicholson. I mean that with love, but you know, he looks like Jack Nicholson now, let's face it. That Billy Zane, all handsome and mean, rich. Yes. Oh yeah. The movie was great. Beautiful, beautiful set. Beautiful. He spared no expense at the recreation. He wanted everything to be as realistic as possible. The ship, she was built in Belfast, Ireland. They began building her, I believe, March 31st, 1909, and she set sail April 10th, 1912. little did they know she would be at the bottom of the Atlantic just 5 days later. Very sad. So let's go through. First and foremost, I'm going to thank my friend Alex for this. He found it cleaning out his grandpa's house and knew that I love the Titanic, so brought me the Life Magazine 100-year anniversary program here. Oh, the Titanic, this is awesome. The tragedy that shook the world 1 century later. So this is from 2012, right? As you may or may not know, unfortunately, that cover, it's a beautiful, beautiful, tragic picture. I can only imagine that those people in those lifeboats, I can imagine what they were looking at. And I do believe that Eva Hart, one of the survivors, said that the sound of the screaming was quite dreadful. But what was worse was when the screaming all stopped, because you knew that all had perished. So very powerful, very powerful. Personally, and that is how she looks now under the sea. Covered with rust. I do believe, I should have looked up the name. It's like a Titanic Necklace. It's its own rusticle. It's got its own name specific to this ship underwater, and they're saying that they can't bring it up. They just can't bring it up. It won't survive the lift. But they do think in 50 years these rusticles will completely devour the ship, which is quite sad. If you have about $110,000, you can travel down to see her. I do believe they ask you not to pass gas while you're there, because you're in, I think it's called the Nautilus. It's a very small little Nautilus little thing. It floats on the ocean. It goes in the ship. You can see the staircase, the grand staircase. You can see Captain Smith's bathtub. It's simply amazing. But you can't be farting in this little cube with 2 other people. It's just rude. So I think they ask you to take like a Imodium antidiarrhea before you go. I think I would need a Xanax too. I don't know if I would make it in that little cube. Another magazine I have here. Well, I thank my sister-in-law, Debbie. Thank you. One of my good Christmas gifts. The Truth About Tragedy. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. I love that people support my addiction for the Titanic. Check it out. Look at that picture. It says 1,000,000 words. My gosh. In the days before the internet and Instagram and MSNBC and CNN and Fox News, they had this little boy sitting here with this headline on him, selling the paper. Isn't that amazing? So, this is also in this book. Also highlights so many things. I can't tell you how much I've learned. You can tell I know so much about the ship. I've learned from all these things, and I will say, being one of the largest ships ever, really, I believe she was about nearly 400 feet long, 387, and 93 feet wide, which is huge. So luxurious. Actually pretty cool. It's a banknote. It's a US congressional banknote. But this is a Titanic twist. Check it out. Look at that. Look at this. It's an anniversary Titanic edition $2 bill. It's got RMS Titanic stamp here. As you can see, it's a US banknote. It's a commemorative Titanic banknote. I owe this cool gift and so many more to two co-workers of mine, Robin and Christina. You blew it up last year, and I thank you. You've made this video so special. I'm always collecting Titanic goods and any kind of things to do with Titanic products. So pretty cool, $2 bill. I'm gonna be a whistleblower. I'm gonna be a whistleblower real quick and talk about conspiracy theory. How cool, it's a whistle, Titanic whistle. It's a key ring. Supposedly there was a mummy on the ship. However, it's not on the registry, so I don't know if this is true. But someone was traveling with some Egyptian artifacts, and some believe that maybe that's what led to her sinking. I don't know. Others believe it was this. It's a little piece of coal that was retrieved from the wreckage. How cool, right? I purchased this myself. It's pretty awesome. It's in a little case here. And the back has the cover of the New York Times. The morning after the ship sank. There's Captain Smith there. So this is a small piece of coal, and why this is important is some believe that there was a coal fire burning before the ship ever left dock, on the 10th, and that this made the rivets and the steel very weak once it hit the cold water, and the fire was not reported, so that when it scraped against the iceberg, that's what caused the major damage, because there was fire damage that had not been reported to the steel. I don't know. Will you ever know? I don't know. And perhaps more ominous of a conspiracy theory, I should have saved the banknote for this one. JP Morgan. Some say that JP Morgan, who by the way cancelled his plans to travel on the Titanic very abruptly, had plans to create the Federal Bank's Federal Reserve, and 3 of his competitors were opposed to that notion. Those 3 men were Mr. Astor, Mr. Guggenheim, and Mr. Strauss, Isidore Strauss. All 3 of those men perished on the Titanic. some believe that JP Morgan had something to do with the sinking. Now, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've heard. I know some people get very upset when they hear this because we don't want to believe that someone would forsake 1,500 lives. And, I'm sorry, dogs and cats died on the Titanic too. People were traveling with dogs. A woman was found in the water, dead, with her dead dog, with her arms around the dog. So animals died. There was a cat on the Titanic named Jenny. Can't even talk about it. She had kittens like 2 weeks before the ship sank. So it was a tremendous loss of human and animal life. And we don't want to believe that could have been done on purpose. I don't want to believe that anyway, but I'm just telling you. So this puzzle, thank you, Debbie. I think I'm going to complete it and maybe frame it. Good idea. Blockbuster. Do you remember Blockbuster? I do, I'm that old. It's pretty cool. These are from the Titanic exhibit that we saw when we went to Vegas at the Luxor. Very cool exhibit. You get to see the big piece of the ship. You can see the artifacts. You do a walkthrough along the mock grand staircase. It's a beautiful exhibit. Actually, I've always been interested in Titanic, but this exhibit is what really sparked me. We were in Vegas to see UFC 196. I think it was McGregor versus Mendes, and we were staying at Mandalay, and it's next to the Luxor. We had nothing to do one day, and went over and said, "Let's see the Titanic exhibit," and it rocked. My word, loved it, bloody loved it. Tell you, I don't want to separate things with race because I feel like we do it. It's too much these days, and we are all one. We are all one. We are all one. However, the man working this exhibit said to me, you know, there was a man that looked like us on the Titanic, and at first I didn't get it. Then he's an elderly black gentleman. I realized, oh, there was a black man on the Titanic. And there was. His name was Joseph Philippe LaRouche. I believe it's Joseph Philippe Mercier LaRouche. He's a Haitian engineer with his French wife and their 2 little girls. And they happened to be on the Titanic, I'll tell you quickly, by chance because they refused to go on the US-France. Why? Because the US-France had strict dining laws, and children are not allowed in the dining rooms, the dining halls. This couple refused to dine without their children, so they switched to the Titanic. Mr. LaRouche did not make it off the ship, and his wife and 2 children did. That's very sad. But their daughters were a couple of the youngest survivors of the ship sinking. And I remember a story his wife said. She couldn't find diapers after they got aboard the rescue ship, the Carpathia. So she had to sneak the dinner napkins into her bag and use those to put on her babies. It's just something interesting, but very sad. Very sad. So Mr. LaRouche, we do remember you. We do. They give you these boarding passes and they have names of a passenger, and at the end you find out if your passenger makes it off the ship or if they perish. It was a really cool experience. Really cool. Really cool. Next we have Titanic TV. RMS Titanic T. Thank you, Robin and Christina. This is so cool, so cool. This blend is similar to what was served on the ship. I have not opened it yet. I don't know whether I want to open it or keep it. A beautiful picture of RMS. Do you know why? Do you know what it means? Royal Mail Steamer. Right. Once a ship carried British Royal Mail, royalty mail, I guess, I don't know. You could not consider it an RMS, and since the Titanic had transported royal mail, it is now a Royal Mail steamer. RMS Titanic. Robin and Christina, look at this awesome hoodie. Look at this RMS Titanic White Star Line. This is the RMS Titanic White Star Line hoodie, and I love it. I love it. It's so warm, it's so comfy, and I'm so grateful for this. Really am. Harlow and Wolff are the builders of the ship. It was owned and operated by the White Star Line. Okay? That's a symbol there. We don't know why the ship was going at full speed. I believe like 22 knots, 24 knots. They had been warned of ice several times. Think of all the crew members that perished. And as we said, this was built in Ireland. There were several streets where every house on the street had lost souls, lost brothers, fathers. So, just a very cool story. I don't know what went wrong. It's as simple as an iceberg. I sure hope so. All of those souls lost, I hope so. Actually, last but not least, my husband got me this, it's a second class replica soup, cup of soup with coffee, perhaps some tea or red wine. I just love it. He likes drinking his coffee out of this one, I don't know why. It makes nice sounds as well. So, tonight is the anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. There are many people who perished, they drowned, they froze to death. We learned a lot about the human ego. We don't call ships unsinkable anymore. We don't say that planes cannot be destroyed or taken down. You know that stuff happens. It happens, and it's very devastating. But what a legend was created of this lovely ship. This beautiful ship. The largest of time. And undoubtedly the most beautiful. So much care went into the crafting. It must have been a tragedy to see all of those beautiful detailings just crashing into the sea and falling miles underneath. Very sad. I hope you have a beautiful night, all tucked in and warm.